I'm Katrina, and this is Sew and Tare, and today we are going to be canning up some quail. We're also going to be adding a little bit of rabbit in, and we will see how it goes. I have canned turkey, chicken, and rabbit before. I have not canned quail yet, so we're going to do a cold pack, which means all the bones are going to be in it, and go from there. Go ahead and follow along, and hopefully you can can your quail. Alright, so what I've been doing is, this is just a whole quail that's been spatchcocked. It's been rinsed after it's been set. It rested for a couple days in ice water and then it went in the fridge. So I'm trying to fold it in so that it sets down at the bottom, and we'll rinse another one. And so going to put this in here. Now this one's a bigger one, so it might not fit as well. Actually, we might have to pair that with a small one, or it might need its own jar. Alright, so here's the second one. You can put it in here. I'm just putting it on the side. You can put it in here any way you want. It needs a 1 1/4 inch headspace, which that will give it.
Maybe one more.
One more jar?
Yeah.
Okay. Here. So the headspace needs to be 1 1/4 inches, so if you need to cut a piece, go ahead and do that. Alright, so I'm going to continue to fill it this way. And I might have to cut off, actually, I think I'm going. So I think with these I'm going to just cut off the legs. Legs on quail aren't really attached by much. They can just cut pretty easily. Actually, I think they fit better doing that way. I'm going to do that because we need the pressure canner. Now this fat we can keep in it because it's going to give good flavor. Well, I don't know that we can shove it in there. We can't. Okay, we're gonna have to split things up. So I think more the standard size is gonna fit 2, and the bigger size is gonna fit less than 2. I think we can like put maybe some legs in here. That's good. Alright, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pints of quail, and we have 4, it's more like 3.5, but 4 pints of rabbit that we're going to include in this, because rabbit, quail, and chicken are all processed the same way. This is bone-in, so we're going to follow bone-in instructions. It's going to be different instructions if it is no bones. So I checked the Harvest Guard instructions, and it says to sterilize the lids before you do it, before you use it. So even though this is raw pack, I am doing that with these lids, which means the lids are going to be hot, which it'll all work out. For the raw pack, we don't add any liquid. So like here's the rabbit, it just has the legs in it. It's gonna have a little bit of liquid just because we did rinse them right before we started it. Here's the quail, but you don't fill it up with water like you do the hot pack. The one that I showed before, the rabbit, was hot pack. This is raw pack. While we wait for the jar lids to sterilize, I have vinegar on this rag. You go around the outside just to make sure we didn't get any meat juices on the rim, so that we have a good seal. Now I did end up cutting apart the legs from the bodies of the quail. The first few I just shoved in whole, and they were smaller. I could do that, but when they had more, and when they're bigger, it doesn't quite work as well. So because we are raw packing, this water in here is cold. So I have a couple of inches of water in my canner with the rack on the bottom ready to go. And then I have the second rack ready so we can stack. All right, our lids are sterilized. If you have the metal lids and not the reusable ones, I believe it can just go on cold. I'm just trying to follow the instructions Harvest Guard gives for their lids to have the most success. Harvest Guard and Tare are basically the same. They're different companies, but it's basically the same stuff. The Harvest Guard's customer service is excellent. All right, time for rings. Again, make sure it's centered, finger in the middle, and go until it's fingertip tight. That one's fitting a little funky. Try a different one. So sometimes the old rings do get, you know, banged up a little bit, and then if they don't go on smoothly, it's time to recycle them, toss them, use them for some other purpose, whatever you want to do with it after that, but don't use it for canning, because then it just won't help your jar seal. Alright, so now these get put in. I should be able to tell what's what, but I'm going to mark this. I'm just going to put an R on the rabbit ones. Just so I don't get that confused. I mean, we'll eat whatever is there, but, you know. I'm hoping we can fit one more in here. And this isn't going to fit over. Fits over when it's a smaller mouth. That is one of the benefits of having a smaller mouth jar, but I think we'll be able to fit all of them on top. Alright, let's see if I can fit one more on the top. Alright, here we go. Alright, so I just put some oil on my finger. I'm going to quickly oil this line. Does not have to be thick, should not be thick. just a little bit of lubrication for that. Alright, so everything here on here is cold, and next step is to put this on. There we go. Turn it into place. Let me bring you guys down. Here, bring you guys down so you can see this slit right here. And that should be even all the way around. So I'm looking from one side. I'm looking from the other side. It needs to go down just a little bit. Alright, so that looks good to me. And I can actually turn this on while we're doing this. Turn this on. I have it a little lower than high is where I put it. And we are putting this on like a car tire, opposites. And opposites. Opposites one more time. Then I go back and clamp them down. So this is going to take a while to get everything up to temperature, and then it's going to start steaming out of this vent. Once it starts steaming, I'm going to put my jiggler on it, and this is a weighted gauge. So 10 pounds for my elevation, and then we'll bring it up to pressure and start our time. Alright, we have a steady stream of steam. I don't think you can actually see it, but it's there. And so start 10 minutes. And once that 10 minutes is done, we're going to put on the weight. Alright, it's been 10 minutes. I'm putting this on 10 pounds pressure. And we wait for our first jiggle before we start our time. Alright, there's a rattle. We're going to turn the temperature down and set our time. It's 65 minutes for bone in pint jars at my elevation. Now follow your own manufacturer's advice on how many times a minute this is supposed to jiggle. And we're going to sit in the kitchen for a really long time. Alright, get something to read, watch some YouTube videos, something. See you back in 65 minutes. Alright, there's our timer. Right now we do nothing up here. We're going to go down here. Turn the heat off. That's all we're doing. Next step is to wait for this dial to get to 0, and then we'll come back and remove the jiggler. But we're not doing that yet. No pressure first. Alright, we are at 0 pressure over here. It means taking this off with a hot pad. It's going to be really hot. And we're going to wait 2 minutes. We waited our 2 minutes, so we can take this off now. Alternate sides, like a car tire. If you learned anything, you learned that car tire is done on opposite sides. Alright. Little turn. And there's going to be steam. You want to make sure that it does not go in your face. So open away from yourself. And we don't want to shock the room. It is quite warm in here, so I don't think we're going to shock the jars, but just leave it there for a little bit. Alright. Now, all of these are cooked now. Ready to consume or ready to store. And that got quite a bit of juice out of there, didn't it? Alright, I'm going to put it on a towel. Now, if you remember correctly, we did not put any water in this. So all of that liquid came out of the meat. Pretty cool. Usually I do this with a chopstick, but I happen to have a Sharpie. Now we can get the rest of these. Alright, this is our last quail one. We have 4 rabbit. Alright, let's take this last one over there and tighten them down. That's a part of the back. I guess it didn't get very full. Alright, this is in the corner of my living room, so it's a little dark. But Harvest Guard did change their recommendation this year, and now you're supposed to clamp down on the lid right after you take them out. You do not have to do this if this is a metal lid. This is just for Harvest Right. Tatler is going to be probably the same thing. I have Harvest Right though, so I don't necessarily know Tatler, but I would guess that they're the same. So when I'm picking it up with the cloth, I'm picking up by the jar, not by the band. Twisting the band itself, and then putting it down by gripping the jar. I know it's a little hard to see with the cloth on it, but that's what I'm doing. Oop. It is nice to have wide mouth jars for meats, especially since these are all bone in. It is nice. Now, last time we canned meat, if you remember, we did rabbit, and we did a par cook, so we did hot pack. And so that's going to turn out differently than the rabbit that we did here. And the consistency of the meat of the quail will also be more kind of a shredded consistency, is my guess. I haven't done quail before, but I have done chicken both ways. And that was the case before with the chicken. That was the case with the chicken. Now we wait till tomorrow and see what's sealed. Hopefully everything's sealed. Welcome back. This has been a couple days now, but after the first day, so I took off the rings and I lift up each of them. And actually that jar is the reason why I don't put them away right away. I leave them out a day or two extra and test them. But if that seal failed within like 24 hours, then it's still edible. After that point, you need to question that and not potentially not eat it. So this is the quail that we canned, and I just tested that seal to make sure that you can pick it up from the lid, and you should be able to do that. The one that failed actually was a rabbit one, but if it fails after a while, then you don't want to eat it. All the juice in here is from the animal. We did not add any juice, so that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that that can happen. Pulled out all the juice. Now, when you cold pack, you can see this is in air, but all the oxygen, all the air has been pulled out of that in the canning process. So this is not an issue when you cold pack. Now, hot pack, the way to do that is to put liquid in this, and it's already cooked or par cooked, so that liquid covers everything. So that's the difference between the raw pack and the hot pack. But all this liquid came from the quail, which is pretty cool. And you can tell, like, this is the rabbit, and you can see how much liquid came out of that. And it doesn't look pretty, but it's good. And that sauce in there, that's all the juices from the rabbit. So you can use that in your cooking. You can use it as a substitute for water and rice. You can use it for making gravy if you want to make gravy. So anyway, it's a really good thing to use. But now we have canned meat. We have shelf-stable protein, and that's awesome. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you are able to can your own quail, and that you become successful at it and have food on your shelf. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. Like, subscribe, and share with a friend. Thank you.